What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another War Thunder video. So in the last video I took out the KD4 Co, and today we're going to find something a little bit different. We're going to go low tier. The Thach's Buffalo. This is F2A-1 Buffalo. Now this plane is not new to the game. It's been in the game for quite some time. But I've always kind of dismissed it because it was just a low tier, or actually a tier 1 premium fighter, and I thought, well, I've got most of American fighters researched. Why would I want a tier 1 plane? Well, for the longest time, as far as I can remember, it's only had two machine guns, 12.7 and a 7.7 millimeter machine gun. I thought, well, why would I want to spend 250 Golden Eagles on a premium plane that really won't buy me a whole lot? It won't research jets very well because of the penalty for using a tier 1 fighter to research a tier 5 fighter. That's just too big of a penalty. It'd be completely useless. Then I noticed something has changed with this thing. At some point in the recent past, this thing has gotten an upgrade in armament. It's now got three 12.7mm machine guns and one 7.7mm machine gun at battle rating 1.3 and still at 250 Golden Eagles. Well, I couldn't hit the buy button fast enough. The problem with research is still there. It's not going to research jets or anything like that. But if you're either new to the American tech tree, or if you just want to have fun, this is a great little plane. I have to tell you, get it now while it's still at the current price. I didn't waste any time whatsoever in taking this thing out for its first flight. In the first flight, it really wasn't all that spectacular of a match, admittedly. And I took it out a second time, and this is the game that I had. And I think you'll all agree after seeing this that poor Japan just doesn't stand a chance at low tiers against the Americans, especially with three 12.7s and a 7.7. Truthfully, Japan isn't the only nation. You know, every nation is going to have an issue with this plane because at 1.3, this thing will tear out everything apart. Even a heavily armored BF-110 stands no chance. I took this thing out eventually with my squad mate Brian, and we just tore the hell out of him. It's just not fair. And so naturally, it brings us to the ultimate question of, is this thing under tiered? Well, obviously yes, but the problem is there's really no perfect place for this in the battle rating system. The battle rating system is far too compressed to give us a great place. Much like something like the newer edition, the Hurricane Mark IV, which I'll get into in another video. I know I've been promising that video to you guys for a long time. I will get to it, I swear. So the first plane up is the Key 27. This poor little thing. I wasn't even really sure what to do. To be honest, I thought about just going head on. And I was contemplating doing a loop over him and coming back on top of him, and just indecision just caused me to basically freeze, and I just didn't really do anything to him, but basically wound him. I did smoke his engine, and that will cause him to go back to his base and repair. But really, I'd rather just have shot him down and gotten rid of him, quite frankly. So now it leaves us with a whole bunch of fighters and a couple of bombers. Now, if this map does not look familiar to you, it really wasn't all that familiar to me. I've only been on this map a couple of times. This is Yoo Passage, a map in, I believe this is a Palau. This is not a map most people get. This is a low-tier map. The map is quite small. The American runway and the Japanese runway are very close. I make my attack on the Key 43, and, well, yeah. Three 12.7s and a 1.7, or a 7.7, and there really wasn't much left of him. And cue up the next guy. Who's next? And this thing has a lot of ammo. You'll notice you don't just have lots of guns. You have plenty of ammo with this little guy. Now, Thach's Buffalo, I should talk a little, just briefly about this. Thach is named after John Thach. He's a naval pilot who developed a technique called the Thach's Weave. Now, this is a fighter formation that people would use to combat Japan in World War II. American planes at that time were very heavy and very powerful, much more so than the Japanese planes. The Japanese planes were lighter and more maneuverable, and so the American pilots had a difficult time combating Zeros and other similarly constructed aircraft. And so the Thach's wave allowed American pilots to better deal with combating these planes, as they worked really well as a team. They would weave back and forth, supporting one another. You can do a simple Google search on the internet and find more information. You can even find diagrams of showing how this would work. It's very difficult to do in War Thunder, in my opinion, because you have to be very, very, very disciplined. And what often happens is people tend to be very selfish and want to get the kills, as opposed to working in that Thach's formation. So it's not very practical, in my opinion, in a video game, because everyone's so damn greedy. So far, I talked a lot about the guns. This thing is very well armed, but the flight characteristics also should be mentioned. Climbs relatively well, actually, for this tier, and even if you do up tier, to like 2.3 maybe at the most, it's still gonna climb relatively well. You're gonna have issues with some of the 109s, of course, but dive speed's quite well. It turns quite well, much better than I expected for a single-winged American aircraft. The elevator has very good authority. I was blown away at the elevator authority this thing has. You can do vertical maneuvers that I did not expect. There's really not a whole lot of downsides to this plane. You still have to fly it like an energy fighter. Even though I mentioned that this does have a good turn radius, I don't recommend using it as a turn fighter. Of course, use it as an energy fighter. You can use it as a boom and zoomer, and I don't think you're going to have too much difficulty either at this tier, or if it ever gets up tiered. I don't think you're going to have too much of an issue. It's still a really good plane. I've been up tiered with German 109s and BF 110s, and it's pretty much a cakewalk, to be honest with you. As long as you're disciplined in your attack, in your approach, I think you're going to do just fine with this thing. Right now, the game has been whittled down to 6 players: 3 Americans, 3 Japanese, 2 fighters, 1 bomber on each team. We have 1 fighter here, 1 enemy fighter right here, and we have another enemy fighter landing, and enemy bombers landing as well. I want to eliminate this Ki-27. If you remember, this is the guy that I crippled earlier in the game. He was the first target of mine, and he's engaging another Buffalo. You notice this thing is actually quite fast, and we're not diving, from a steep angle. It's a nice shallow dive. Yeah, turn right in front of me. Yeah, goodbye, fireball. Japanese planes are not known for their firefighting abilities, so it doesn't take him long to burn up. Now we have 2 guys left. One is on the runway, and one is going to be on the runway very soon. And we have a decision to make: either go for them or let him live. Some people refuse to shoot people on the runway. I, in this situation, am not afraid to take shots at these guys, because, if you'll notice, we are almost out of tickets. And I have been on multiple maps where AI ships or AI tanks will take out enemy AI tanks and enemy ships, and the AI units will end the match. I don't like that. I'd rather player-controlled aircraft and player-controlled tanks end the match, and that's what I'm going to do right here. The other Buffalo and I work together. We take out those 2 guys, and that's the end of the match. I absolutely hate losing to ground force victory because of AI tanks or AI ships end up taking out the other ships and tanks. I just hate that shit. I can't say for sure if Yoo Passage is one of those maps where this happens. I don't get this map very often. Maybe once every 8 months at the most, maybe. I don't fly tier 1 planes very often, and usually when I do, I usually get like Ruhr or Saipan or something. Yoo Passage is not a very common map. I don't think I've ever seen another YouTuber upload a match on Yoo Passage. It's a hell of a lot better than Hokkaido, though. Hokkaido or or Sicily, or, oh my god, Spain. There's a map I would never want to fly again. Keep me off of that map. Anyway, with 6 kills and with over 80,000 Silver Lions, that's another one of the reasons to get this plane. If you're low on Silver Lions, this thing will bring them in bulk. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys.